The relationship between the United States and Canada is more than just a political alliance. It's a unique bond that has grown over centuries. It's a deep friendship built on shared values, intertwined histories, and a mutual respect that has stood the test of time. For many people living near the border, that dividing line is just a formality. Daily life flows freely across it, connecting communities and families. Families, businesses, and tourists move back and forth with ease thanks to decades of trust, cooperation, and a shared sense of belonging. In towns like Derbyine, Vermont, and Stansted, Quebec, the border literally runs through buildings and streets. Yet, people see each other as neighbors, not foreigners. Children attend the same. Libraries and friends meet for coffee, barely noticing the invisible line that separate their countries. This everyday cooperation, often unnoticed, is the true measure of the U.S.-Canada relationship, a partnership built on trust and understanding. That trust enables collaboration on trade, security, and even the management of the Great Lakes and NORAD, where both nations work side by side to protect their shared interests. But the relationship is also built on countless small interactions, moments that happen every day, quietly strengthening the bond. A Canadian hockey team playing in an American city cheered on by fans from both sides of the border. An American family vacationing in B, marveling at the natural beauty and hospitality, or a trucker hauling goods from Toronto to Chicago, helping keep both economies thriving. These everyday acts, big and small, reinforce our fundamental connection and remind us how much we rely on each other. This is why the events of 2025 were so shocking, shaking the foundation of what many thought was unbreakable. The crisis didn't start with military threat or a heated political dispute. It began quietly with a toll on a remote highway, catching everyone by surprise. That single act challenged the long-held assumption that each country would always consider the other's welfare no matter the circumstances. It was a stark reminder even the strongest friendships, no matter how enduring, can be tested by unexpected events. But it is in these moments that the true strength of a relationship is revealed. The Alaska Highway is more than a road. It's a symbol of U.S.-Canada partnership. Built during World War II, it connected Alaska to the continent, a feat achieved by both nations working together. Today, it's Alaska's economic lifeline, carrying goods, supplies, and tourists. The highway supports remote communities and local businesses on both sides of the border. Its maintenance has always been a shared responsibility, with both countries contributing. The spirit of cooperation made the sudden policy change in 2025, a new toll, feel like a betrayal. The foundation of trust was shaken. In spring 2025, British Columbia announced a new toll on all commercial trucks using its section of the Alaska Highway. Without warning or consultation, the toll was steep, adding thousands to each round trip. Shipping costs to Alaska soared overnight, hitting businesses and families hard. Prices for everyday goods jumped, and small businesses struggled to stay afloat. The timing was disastrous just as Alaska's busiest season began. The lack of communication stung most. Why hadn't BC discussed this? The Alaska Highway was seen as a shared asset, and the toll felt like a violation of that spirit. Alaskans felt blindsided and disrespected. The sense of injustice quickly turned to anger. The economic shockwave rippled through the state. The trust that had defined the relationship was suddenly in question. What was once a symbol of friendship now felt like a barrier. The stage was set for a conflict. British Columbia saw the toll as a fiscal necessity. Its highways needed costly upkeep, and most of the Heavy traffic was American. The province faced mounting repair bills, and officials believed that asking those who used the roads most to contribute was only reasonable. With the influx of American vehicles, especially during peak travel seasons, the wear and tear on the infrastructure was undeniable. Officials argued it was fair for users to help pay for maintenance, pointing to toll roads worldwide. They cited examples from Europe and the United States, where tolls are a common way to fund public infrastructure. To them, this was simply a practical solution to a growing financial challenge. But Alaskans saw it as an economic blockade, exploiting their geographic isolation. For many, the toll felt like a targeted burden, making essential travel more expensive and straining already tight household budgets. The highway was their lifeline, connecting remote communities to the rest of the continent. The highway, built with American money and soldiers, was meant for mutual benefit. It stood as a symbol of cooperation during World War II, a testament to shared sacrifice and vision between nations. The sudden toll felt like a violation of a historical pact. Many Alaskans remember the original agreements and saw the new fees as breaking a promise that had lasted for decades. Both sides talked past each other. BC saw a budget issue. Alaska saw an act of bad faith. The conversation quickly became emotional, with each side feeling misunderstood and unheard. Alaskans argued BC ignored the economic benefits it received from the highway. The route brought American tourists and commerce, supporting businesses on both sides of the border and fueling local economies. The U.S. had historically contributed to its upkeep. American resources and expertise had helped maintain the road for years, reinforcing the sense of shared responsibility. The toll felt less like a fair fee and more like a cash grab. Frustration mounted as travelers questioned where the money was going and whether it truly addressed the highway's needs. The disagreement deepened the divide with little common ground. Tensions rose as both governments dug in their heels, and the once busy highway saw fewer travelers. What started as a local issue now threatened the broader relationship. Trust was eroding fast, and the future of cross-border cooperation seemed increasingly uncertain. What began as a seemingly minor dispute over a local toll quickly spiraled out of control, transforming from a simple grievance into a full-blown international crisis that no one had anticipated. Alaskans took to social media in droves, voicing their outrage and frustration. Their posts and comments spread rapidly, fueling a wave of public anger that crossed state lines and captured national attention. Political leaders in the United States quickly condemned the toll, framing it as an unfair attack on Alaska's rights and sovereignty. Rallies erupted and speeches grew more heated as the issue became a rallying cry for state and national pride. National news outlets picked up the story, amplifying the controversy. As headlines blared across the country, pressure mounted on Washington to respond decisively and defend American interests. Meanwhile, in Canada, British Columbia officials defended their right to manage and fund their own infrastructure. Yet the federal government in Ottawa found itself caught in the crossfire, struggling to balance provincial autonomy with international diplomacy. Diplomatic tensions rose sharply, with both sides issuing official protests and calling for urgent meetings. Behind closed doors, negotiators worked frantically to prevent the situation from escalating further. Calls for U.S. retaliation grew louder. Proposals for retaliatory tolls by American campaigns, and even deliberate slowdowns at border crossings gained traction among angry citizens and politicians alike. The threat of a trade war loomed large as economic protests and disruptions at the border signaled that a regional problem was now a serious threat to the long-standing relationship between the U.S. and Canada. The crisis had grown far beyond a dispute over a road. It had become a matter of national pride, identity, and mutual respect between two neighboring countries. The partnership that had endured for generations was suddenly at risk, with trust and cooperation hanging in the balance. The smallest spark, a single toll, had ignited a political firestorm, threatening to consume years of peaceful collaboration. Both sides dug in, refusing to back down, and with every passing day, the stakes continued to rise, making compromise seem ever more distant. The world watched with growing concern as two close neighbors teetered on the edge of becoming adversaries, wondering what the future would hold for U.S.-Canada relations. The Alaska Highway toll crisis exposed the fragility of the U.S.-Canada partnership. The economic risks were immediate. Trade, jobs, and prices on both sides were threatened. A trade war could disrupt one of the world's largest trading relationships. Social consequences followed. Cross-border communities felt the strain, and trust eroded. Families and businesses worried about new restrictions and lasting resentment. Security was at stake too. The highway is a strategic corridor for